We have truly failed our children. If you want to know what I mean and why I say that we have failed them, stick around. As some of you know, I grew up in the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. When I was in elementary school, I guess about 3rd or 4th grade, I vividly remembered that there was a shift happening in the educational system back home. And what they were doing was they were changing their name from the Department of Instruction to the Department of Education. And I remember conversations around why they were even thinking about changing the name and why it was important. And the main thing that I recall from those conversations was this distinction of how instruction focuses around teaching information, knowledge, skills, whereas education looks at the whole individual, at the whole being, and tries to figure out how can we make this person more entire as a whole, how can we make this person more well-rounded, and how can we look at all the elements that create a human being and address all of them to make a better contributing member to society. As I look back over my 27 years of teaching, I have come to realize that we have failed our children by failing to understand that there is a distinction between instruction and education, and that while they're both important, we cannot rely on the educational system and the government to do both for our kids. See, if we take that definition or that distinction of instruction as just imparting information and knowledge, and education as looking at the whole individual and try to make that individual better rounded and better prepared to be a contributing member of society, we have to agree that while schools are working diligently and are doing a pretty good job of the first part of instructing, of giving information, of giving knowledge and new skills to the kids, they are not doing that great a job at the education part, the part that deals with the heart, with the spirit, with the soul, with the mind in a different level. And so I find that part of the problem we're having, and part of the reason we have failed a couple of generations of our kids, honestly, is because we have stopped understanding, or we have stopped making a distinction between what the schools can provide for the kids versus what the family is meant to provide for those children. See, it is my understanding that schools should be in charge of the instruction, while families are in charge of the education of the kids. Part of what happens with instruction, because it has to be designed to cater to a lot of different personalities and interests and all these things, is that they have set a set of priorities. They have established a hierarchy, if you will, of what students should master in order to be what they consider successful. Right? But in doing so, if we're honest, we have to admit that what they have decided is that everybody should be good at math, reading, and writing. But not everybody is good at math and reading and writing. And there are other things that we need out in the world. We need creatives. But our educational system, if we are really honest, has crushed most of the creativity in our kids. We need individuals who are innovative, who think outside the box, and yet we teach them to keep the answers in a bubble, inside a box, the right and wrong answer. We don't teach them to think creatively, to think outside of what's right and what's wrong. We teach them to see everything so black and white that the gray becomes fuzzy. And then we become concerned when in life they're faced with situations, but they don't know that if they try something and it doesn't work, that doesn't mean it was right and wrong and you're done. It just means that part that you tried didn't work. There's other things in between. There's other options. It's not an either or. Sometimes it's even an and, it's just an and. It's just adding and putting together things. And we fail to teach them that. So if as a family, we take back the education part, and we focus on values, beliefs, and life skills that kids don't really get from the instruction in schools, we can start preparing them better for what comes tomorrow. We all know that there are shifts that need to happen in the educational system that go beyond this. We all know that the world is shifting, and unfortunately, our educational system has fallen behind, has become a little bit obsolete in some areas. And I believe wholeheartedly that there are people out there trying to make those changes and trying to make the positive shifts. But in the meantime, our kids are not empowered and ready to tackle what's in front of them. They're really not given all of the skills that they need in order to fully be successful in life. You have no idea how many kids graduate high school and they don't know how to balance a checkbook, or graduate high school and they don't know how to make a firm decision, or they are unsure about who they are or why they're important in the world, or even what their purpose is on the planet. And that is where the family needs to be empowered to give these kids those tools that will help them just propel themselves into the future and be fully successful. So far we have discussed what the issue is and how we have failed our kids. If you want to know what the solution is, I will tell you in just a minute. But before I do, if you have enjoyed this, if you like this video, I have plenty more like them in my YouTube channel. So make sure that you are subscribing and that you are turning on those notifications. I have new content for you at least twice a week, sometimes more. And I try to bring you the strategies, the tools, and the information that are going to empower you to design a family that is set for success. So what is the key, you might be asking? Well, in schools, unfortunately, most of the time we focus on trying to get them to strengthen their weaknesses. So you're not that good at math, let's give you tutoring, let's give you help. And there's nothing really wrong with that, except for the fact that after you have received the tutoring, the help, the extra credit, all these things, and you still don't do as well as you're expected to do, that's where the frustration and the anxiety and the depression and all these things start to set in. So in our families, as we educate our children, as parents educating our children, we need to work on their strengths. And that is the key. See, all of us, each and every one of us, there's a large pool of things that we are really awful at, that we just frankly suck at. Then there's a smaller circle of things that we're good at, an even smaller circle of things that we are great at. But there is a very tiny space there in the middle of things that we are outstanding at things that we excel at things that we do better than most. Those are our unique abilities. So while the school works on giving our kids enough skills to do okay with those things on the outer circle that they're not that great at, let us as a family focus on helping them build their strengths. Let's identify those passions, those talents, those things that really drive and excite them, and let's give them outlets for those things. Let's help them maximize those special gifts that they were endowed with, and let's help them understand that that gift, that design, is what is going to point them in the right direction for their purpose and their passion, and for living in a world where they can work on what they love and still be successful, where they can maximize who they are and bring value to the world. Marie Forleo, a great business leader, often closes her talks and her videos by saying that the world does need that special gift that only you have. And I believe that's true. We each have a special gift. And if as a family we can help identify, bring out, and accelerate and ignite those special talents and abilities, we will not only raise more confident, more well-rounded, and more stable human beings that can contribute to society, but we will in turn create a better world, one kid at a time. So I hope you will join me in this mission and this movement to positively transform our families so that we can transform the world one family and one child at a time. I'm Marcy Amaro, and thank you for your time. See you in the next one.